This is a disclaimer. This conversation is brought to you by the Startup Nation. Startup Nation is a student-led club at both Concordia and McGill University fighting against anti-Semitism for Canada, for Canadian values, and for the prosperity of our beautiful country. Startup Nation is an apolitical organization. We've extended an invite to Anthony Housefather to have a conversation with us as well. Thank you for watching, and we encourage everyone to go out and vote.
We're really honored to be here with Neil Oberman, candidate for the Mount Royal riding, and also our lawyer at Concordia and McGill University. Neil, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this lovely invitation. I support young people, I support students, I support safety, I support security, I support prosperity. What I don't support is hate, and I don't support what's going on campus. I reject it. You've rejected it. We collectively must reject it. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself because you know me in the professional capacity, but I'm a person, and I have a life, not much of one these days, quite frankly. I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, I'm a business owner, I'm a dog owner, and I think I'm a guy who cares.
What's the name of your dog?
Oh, Doug, D-O-U-G. We rescued Doug from the SPCA. I mean, he's a great little dog. We've had him for about 13 years now. I mean, he's part of the family. Love animals, by the way. Really do love animals. With animals is great because they're not judgmental, right? And they give you unconditional love. But there are people in our society that don't treat animals very well. Like they don't treat students very well. They don't treat Jews very well. And we have to reject all types of hate and all types of violence. And I'm a simple guy. Simple things make me happy. I'm not a fancy person. I don't golf, and I don't play tennis, and I don't work out 2 hours a day, and I don't sleep 8 hours a day because I don't have the time because I'm working. My parents gave me a great education. I struggled as a student. I had learning disabilities, but my parents invested in me. My parents were working people, not professionals, no doctors, no lawyers, no engineers. My mom was a secretary. My father worked for Bell Canada for 35 years, and they gave us a lifestyle that was commensurate with their capacities and abilities. But they instilled in my brother and I hard work. You got to work hard. You want something, you work hard. I paid my way through university. I always worked. I worked every single job. I was a doorman, a painter, a cleaner. I sold computers. I delivered papers. I also worked at Urgence Santé as an ambulance technician, both in Côte Saint-Luc and for the Montreal-wide service. And what did I learn? During crisis, people need strength. They need stability. They need strong leadership. They don't need people freaking out because there's an incident. But what I learned as a young person is that struggling is good. It's good to struggle. It's good to fail. I failed at everything 3 times. Trust me. Whenever it goes back to when I was in high school, it was like something like this teacher would say, everybody did well in the class, but there were some exceptions. So I was always that exception, and it built a character for me because I knew that I was always the one that was the exception. But it built an understanding that I can control my own life and I can do what I want, meaning I could succeed. But part of success is failure. I keep telling people, and I have failed, trust me. But I'm happy I failed because today I'm much more successful for failing. The greatest thing that gives me pleasure is, to be with my son when he's around. He moved to Israel because he didn't think that there was a safe and secure environment for him. And that's what I'm scared about for you guys, is that, you're going to say, why should I stay here in Canada? The small things in life are nice. Walking Doug, listening to my music. Yes, the 70s, don't ask. Not the 20s and the 2005s, the 70s. And, going out, just grabbing a bite at my favorite place. I love fast food.
So we're not going to see you at a Taylor Swift concert like we saw.
I'm not a Swiftie.
We saw Trudeau.
I'm not a Swiftie, and I couldn't afford the ticket. And even if I could afford it, I wouldn't spend it because I think there's better places to spend your money on things that can bring value. And what do I want out of life? I want to be respected. I want to be prosperous. I want to be safe. I didn't get anything for free, my friends. And hard work, it brings good things. But I'm scared. I'm scared for our existence. But I'm optimistic because I know with young people and strong leadership, we're going to get from where we are to where we need to be. So there's not really much complex about me. What you see is what you get. And with me, I talk straight. I am straight. It doesn't resonate well with everybody, I can assure you. But I'm in the business of offending people. That's my business, right? Because you say things that people don't want to hear, they don't want to address, but it is what it is. But today we need strong leadership, but we need people who are prepared to sacrifice. Because without sacrifice, nothing good's going to come of it. And you guys are sacrificing. It's not about me. I'm 55. I'm well established. I've done okay. The question is, will you get to 55? Will you be established? Will you be independently able to pay for your this, your that, and the other? And the question is, I don't know, but I do know this. There's going to be an election shortly. And if we do bring change, it'll have an impact on your lives, on my life, and even on Doug's life, okay? Because even pets are affected. You know, when you can't afford to put good food on your table, trust me, you're not feeding your dog, right? You're not going to the vet with your dog. So, you know, we all matter. Everybody matters. And now we have to bring ourselves from a polarized position to somewhere in the center where we all matter. And we do all matter. But here's what doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you like me or dislike me. The question is, can I serve you? Can I protect you? Can I bring change? And if the answer is yes, you'll set aside my poor eating habits, my perhaps not great, you know, I don't play tennis and I don't play hockey and I don't go to the gym and maybe I don't sleep a lot, but I will work hard for you every day of the week, 7 days a week, because when I work hard for me, I work hard for you. And when you are protected, I am a protected person as well.
You know, I want to clarify something because you said you failed a few times. Maybe you failed in your coursework, but I know for sure you will be the most successful MP the Mount Royal has seen.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But, you know, I want to tell you something, Amanda. I shouldn't have had to be the most successful member of parliament. Our government should have been the most successful member of parliament. They should have stood up for us. Government's primary function is to protect its citizens, protect its residents, protect its youth, protect its elderly, and it failed to do so. I stood up because I couldn't tolerate it. I stood up because I was frustrated and I was angry, but I turned the anger into something positive. And I can tell you something, it's never going to be about me. We have to reject the me world, right? I did, I know, I did. No, it's not about that. It's about us. It's about we. It's not his story. It's our story. And that's the narrative we have to change. It has to be about our collective. But some people make it about themselves. And a smile won't save you, right? It won't save you a big smile. You know what will save you? Hard work, dedication, and making sure that you do not give in on those core issues which none of you have given in on. Your
And
safety
going out
and
to
prosperity.
vote.
Going out to vote, you know, unfortunately in Canada, it doesn't make it a legal requirement. Well, I think it should. It's not legislation. It is a duty of every citizen to go out and vote. You cannot sit back and complain and fetch and then say, oh, but I'm not heard. Democracy is not about getting everything you want. It's about being heard. How do we get heard? You go out and you vote. It's your voice. It's your vote. It's your choice. It brings change.
But I want to ask you something. You said earlier that your parents invested a lot in you,
Yeah.
and that's part of why you are who you are today. But what about the country? Did the country invest in you back then, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? And how is it different now? What's Canada today against Canada of like 30, 40 years ago?
So it's not the same country. In fact, you know, I often say I open my door and I don't recognize where I live. Right?
Not even 30 years ago.
Oh, no,
Let's
so
talk
like
about 10 years ago.
No, I mean, probably
15 years ago.
Probably 10 years ago, starting. It's a slow downward trend, the erosion of your rights and your safety and your prosperity. Like I said, government has an obligation to protect its citizens, it's primary obligation. So no, when I was a young person, there was still hope. You could go out and buy a nice house and get a nice car and you get a well-paying job. But I don't hear that a lot today from young people. I hear that they're struggling with why are they going to university in the first place? They can make more money, you know, exchanging cryptocurrencies maybe, or doing online stuff. It's because we haven't focused on our young people. We've focused on our bureaucracy and we focused on establishing what they believe was the appropriate way to doing business, which was invest in government, invest in a lot of red tape, and hope that somehow things will get done. Things have not gotten done. Things have gotten worse over the currency of the last 10 years. And what we need to do is change from this perspective of what can government do to other people versus what it can do for its citizens. So yeah, it's not the same country that I grew up in. But again, I want to be clear for everybody listening. I'm optimistic because we have the power to change. Because that's my motto in my campaign. It's your voice, your vote, your choice, change. It's a simple math. It's if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you get the same result, I mean, what do you expect? So that's my vision of how things should be.
I actually have a question about something also you said earlier. So you've been by our side for a very long time, and we see you as inspiration to someone who does not stop working. You do so many things every single day.
Yeah.
And I actually want to ask you, what drives you? What doesn't stop you? And how come you can just do all of this? Like, what is your number one driver?
It's very simple. Survival. Simple. When you want to survive and you want to thrive, you got to keep working. You know, I say that to people. They say, "Well, why are you doing this?" I go, "I'm a survivalist." We have been, as Jews, survivalists. For 5,785 years, people have tried to starve us, murder us, enslave us, take our property, take our children. They haven't been successful because we're survivalists. And that is what we all are. Each Jew is an expert in anti-Semitism, and each Jew is an expert in survival. And each family has its own stories of survival and its own stories of anti-Semitism. But here's a story that nobody's going to forget. Here in Mount Royal in 2025, on April 28th, we're going to take back this riding. We're going to eject the liberal bucket that's been here for 83 years, and we're going to restore our dignity. And it's going to be a very important day because it's going to show people that when you don't respect our community, we're not going to support you, that we're not going to give you our votes, and we're not going to give you that power. We're going to take it back, and we're going to keep it. The problem is not everybody gets the message.
Honestly, I have a question going back to a little bit of the Canadian situation. I mean, I was recently scrolling through TikTok, and I saw back when we had the truckers convoy of, you see that there's people in Canada that they're patriotic to Canada. They love the country that's given them the opportunities that it's given them. And year to year, we're seeing people now where they stand up for Canada during these protests going on, and they're the ones getting arrested versus the protesters. So from a point of making a change, from a point of saying that, you know what, their freedom of speech and there is respecting whoever is around you.
Sure.
So what is it that you're hoping would be different in terms of all these protests turned into riots that's been going on recently, and how can Canada go back to being the Canadian opportunity land that it once was?
Okay, so I just want to go back. I want to push the carpet back on that. So let's look at the context here. And I'm not saying, this is not my personal point of view. So you have a bunch of people who block streets in Ottawa, obstruct traffic, I understood, laid out like a hot tub, and honk their horns. In less than 2 weeks' time, the Liberal government of Canada invoked the Emergency Measures Act, the most draconian statute available under Canadian law, which is the predecessor of the War Measures Act, which wasn't used since 1970 or 72, I believe, during the FLQ crisis in Quebec. Conversely, for the last 18 months in Canada, from coast to coast, in every university, in front of every campus, people who have hate and aggression, who support terrorists, have been allowed to do whatever they want, wherever they want, when they want, and the government of Canada has done zero. They have not arrested anybody, they have not blocked any bank accounts, they have not revoked anybody's visas, they have done nothing. Did they invoke the Emergency Measures Act in the last 18 months to give police extraordinary power to stop this nonsense? No, 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 and no. So now let's go back to your question and let's reformulate it. Why is the government of Canada so inept, incompetent, and inconsequential in the context of the Canadian sort of topography? It's because they don't care about you, and they don't care about you, and they don't care about you, and for sure they don't care about me. But here's what they do care about. They care about keeping power. They care about my tax dollars. But anything in between, they don't care about. So here's what I want to tell young people. We are going to stop the nonsense. I didn't say me. I didn't say I said we. And why are we going to do that? Because we have the power. It's your vote. It's your voice. It's your choice. It's change. There you go, my friend. There's the recipe.
100%.
So I want to follow up on his question and what you said. So listen, I came here 2 years ago. You know, I'm not a Canadian citizen. I'm an immigrant, so I'm a big believer in immigration. I think immigration is a great tool to bring good people to a certain country and to let these people first of all, the country is giving opportunities to the people, and the people is giving back to the country, and that's what I intend to do as an immigrant in Canada, and that's what my family did when they came here 40, 50 years ago when they had to flee Iran. But some people are coming here.
Iraq or Iran?
So my family flee Iraq, but some of my family left and went to Iran, and then they had to flee again from Iran to Montreal. So yeah, so some people are coming here, especially we see it in universities, and we see students that are coming here on student visas, and they're not coming here to study. They're coming here to make our city worse. They're coming here and they're making our country worse. They're not respecting the law, they're not respecting the rules, and they're not respecting the values of Canada. Listen, when I'm coming to Canada, when I came to Canada, I came as a guest. I need to respect the country, and I need to give whatever I can to help this country grow and be better the same way that this country is helping me. But these people, they don't do it, they have no respect, and they're just making this country worse. What is the Conservative Party gonna do about people like that?
So I want to first start by not all immigrants are bad, right? I mean, there are great people who come from different parts of the world to do great things. They check their bags at the front door. They come here with the optic of increasing their worth, making sure they're safe, their children have a future. So we can't put everybody into the same sort of bag that everybody who comes from somewhere else is not necessarily here for the good reason. And I reject that because as Jews, we know what happens when you're scapegoated. But here's the problem. The problem is it's a lack of vision and leadership from the federal side and the Liberal government. So they have an immigration policy that is broken. And it's not just broken because I say it's broken. It's broken because all you have to do is open your door in the morning and look around you and see who's causing what to whom and why. The reality is our party, under our leadership of Pierre Poilievre and hopefully with Neil Oberman up in Ottawa, we're going to curtail immigration for a variety of reasons. One of which is we have to fix the system, ensure that we get the right kind of candidates, make sure they're properly vetted. But also there's an economic issue with respect to immigration. Because people come here, they have to have places to live, affordable housing. They have to have jobs, they have to be able to afford food. And right now our economy is in a free fall. Why? I didn't create it, and I'm no economist, but I know when I go shopping, and what I used to pay $6.49 for is now $12.49, it's not a good thing. And by the way, people tell me on a daily basis, I knock on thousands of doors, and they say the same thing. I can't afford to buy a house. So how could you legitimately bring people from other parts of the world for a better life when their life is going to be worse? And I hear that from some immigrants. They say, we want to go home because it's better in here or over there. So we have to reform that. We have to reform ourselves first, right? You know, if you can't fix your own problems, don't expect other people to fix the problems for you. So immigration is reflective of a bad government, an incompetent government. Look, just take a step back. Look at the kind of MPs the Liberal Party has. They support Hamas, they go out and support hate, they go do things that are contrary to why they should even be in Parliament. You know, it's called the House of Commons, but it's now the House of Hamas. What do they do there? They go and they subscribe to a policy saying, we support hate, and they'll say, no, that's wrong, Neil, that's not the way it is. Look, I reject it. I reject false narratives. What are we going to do? We're going to make sure that those people don't have power. We're going to bring regular people like myself. I'm like a regular guy, man. I'm not a fancy guy, but I know the value of hard work. I know the value of a dollar. I know the value of right and wrong. It's not about whether you're right or whether you're left. It's about whether you're right or whether you're wrong, right? And that is the problem. These people don't know the difference between right and wrong. And I will reestablish, along with our party, the right and the wrong, and those who are wrong will not be rewarded, and those who are right will be supported. Right will be supported, wrong will be rejected. And that is my vision, and that should be everybody's vision.
Mm-hmm. But what about the students who are coming here on student visas?
Very simple. You're here as a student.
Studying. Yeah.
You participate in hate? No, listen.
There's a study that in Toronto, about 45% of people that came on student visas didn't attend a single class.
Well, here's the problem. We have what they call student visa brokers, right? They're brokers. They bring in mass amount of people. They get them in on a student visa, and then they go out and work illegally. What we need to do is we need to police that, make the universities responsible that if they have a student there, they're responsible to reporting whether they're complying with the visa requirements. If you bring in somebody under a program, that person who aggregates those people should be responsible. Here's what we're going to do. If we've identified somebody subject to due process, which means the rule of law, we will identify them, we will prosecute them, or we will revoke their visa and they will be deported, period. Point final. It's not open to discussion. Why? Because if you're here for the wrong reason, you shouldn't stay here for any reason. You should be gone. End of story. They're going to go. And by the way, it's not xenophobic. It's called protecting your population.
It's called Canada First.
It also doesn't apply to people that come here and follow the law. The people that come here and really are in search of a better life. Exactly.
Well, we have an example at Concordia where we had a student there for 8 years who seems to take just the minimum amount of courses in order to be considered a student for the purposes of aggregating hate on campus. We're not going to use any names. We're not going to talk about that person's status, if it's a he, a she, or another. We're going to simply say that that type of behavior is wrong. And who's responsible? The University of Concordia, its administrators, its officers, its directors, its agents, its board members, its senators. They're all wrong. And we got to call them out on it. And that's the bottom line. People have to be responsible for their bad conduct. Can't reward people. But the he, she, it's not me, it's he, it's she, this kind of narrative, it's rejected. And I'm running on a campaign where I'll take responsibility for me, but I won't take responsibility for neglectful people over there doing the wrong thing.
One thing I wanted to touch on when you were talking about the economy of how people come here hoping for a better opportunity and then they end up having to go back home because the opportunity wasn't found. So right now I've been working at the bank as a credit counselor, and every day I'm speaking to hundreds, if not thousands of people where some of them they end up going back home. When I was just talking to them a month ago, and we're trying to find solutions together. But in terms from an economic point of view, what are the hopes in the next few years coming? What could we?
Well, we have to fix our economy. We have to be able to draw and use our natural resources to better our society. And there's a value in what God has given this country. And we have to be responsible as citizens of the world to our environment, but we also have to be responsible to our current generation. And that means we can use our natural resources to enhance our quality of life. Because if we don't use what we have, other people will take advantage of us. And that's why trade imbalances between the US and Canada has created this animosity. Trade imbalances weren't created the day Mr. Trump was appointed or was elected on round 2. They were created over a period of time where Canada didn't act properly to its neighbor. I'm not saying US is acting proper to its neighbor now, but I'm saying there has to be a balance. And by the way, rattling your saber from a weak government that's closed down government, that's brought more haters to this country, that's put us in a difficult financial position, is ill-advised to be giving advice on things that it itself cannot follow. It itself has created. It itself has promoted. I reject a government that cannot act in a responsible fashion to its citizens and then lecture other countries about the way they need to do. Let me give you an example. The minute Mr. Carney was anointed to his new position, he tells Israel, turn on the lights. He doesn't mention the hostages who are sitting in the dark there, cold and hungry and tortured, but he tells them, turn on the lights. I'm going to tell you something about Mr. Carney. He doesn't represent me, he doesn't represent you, and he won't be representing Canada on April 28th, 2025 at midnight 01, which will be the 29th, because we will not elect him. We will not tolerate that. We don't need to have leaders not lead by example. They lead. You have to lead by example, lead by your experience, not lead by following the Hamas wing of the Liberal Party that wants this way. I get a lot of heck for that, right? And I reject it because I'm not a spiteful person, but I will call things out because that is what we need today. We need people who are brave enough to say, no, that's wrong.
So, like you were talking about natural resources, and Canada is very blessed to have many natural resources that, unfortunately, we don't tap into often. And instead of, producing oil in Canada, which, we have, people are getting it from undemocratic countries as well. Right. People that aren't held to our standards. So why do you think that is?
Well, first I want to tell you there's another natural resource that we're not using, that we're losing. It's called human natural resources. It's called the brain drain. People, young people like yourselves, they won't stay here because their natural resource has more prosperity elsewhere. So when we talk about natural gas and oil and lumber and this and that, let's talk about the most important natural resource, us, we, young people, people here who have something to contribute. They're not going to stay here. So first, let's fix that problem by fixing the other problems, which which is safety, security, and prosperity. So let's talk about why is it easier to buy oil from America as opposed to from Alberta? Because you can't get it from Alberta to Quebec, so you buy it from the US or elsewhere. It's because we need to use our existing natural resources, but you can't deliver something by train and by plane. You need to have a pipeline, and the pipeline is not to cut all the trees down and evict all the nice squirrels. We love the animals, we love the environment, but there's a balance between what we need to have now and what we need to do for our future. And I think we can find it, but we're not going to find it by slogans, and we're not going to find it by kvetching and complaining. We're going to find it by coming together, using our human natural resources to build a better country.
Neil, what does your ideal Canada look like?
Not the way it looks today. Here's how it should look, and how I hope it's going to look. It's going to be a place of inclusion, diversity, prosperity, safety, security, opportunity, love, interest, academics, philanthropy, art, history, culinary history. It's going to be a place where it's open for everybody, where it doesn't matter if we disagree. You can disagree, by the way. That's not the problem. You can't use violence and hate in your disagreements. And it's going to be a much better place. Are we going to reform everybody? No, of course not. Is everybody going to be loving on each other? No, of course not. Human nature is what it is. You can't cure hate. You can educate people not to hate. Once you already hated, it's kind of hard. But I think with a strong government and a lot of hard work and reform of our institutions and reform of our attitudes, we're going to change people. And people are going to be better. And when they're better, we're better. And when we're better, the whole country's better. When the country's better, it's stronger. When it's stronger, it's more prosperous and it's safer. And here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do what they do. Whatever they do, I'm not doing. There's nothing that they can show me. Somebody said, Neil, you have no experience as a politician. I said, okay, let's review that. I don't have the experience of wrecking our economy, turning our university campuses into places of hate, ensuring that children don't have the ability to build homes and have prosperous futures. And I say, I don't want that kind of experience. Here's the kind of experience I have. I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a business owner, I'm a dog owner, and I'm a proud Jew, and I'm going to be proud to say it, and I do good, and we're going to be good, but I ain't going to be like them. Trust me, it ain't happening.
As a student, I honestly feel like for the last 18 months, since October 7th, the Liberal government threw me under the bus. And, it's not only that they didn't do anything to protect me and my peers, but they also allowed vandalism, violence, antisemitism to happen and to foster and to grow. Do you think that, a lot of people are saying Mark Carney will be different, Mark Carney will do things differently, but we also saw a few days ago how he accused Israel of genocide. Do you think there is a possibility that it will be different with him? Do you think that if Mark Carney will get elected, I will be able to go to campus and be the proud Jew, Zionist, Israeli student that I am without getting harassed and then threatened?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't have every single answer, but here's what I do know. We can't vote for those people. Every person has to vote those type of people out or not vote them in. I want to think of something that maybe is a little bit outside of the box. I want to think that people are good but need sometimes a little bit of reorientation. They need re-education, right? And the problem is around him is the same people that were around Mr. Trudeau, right? It's all the same people. So how could somebody who's purported to be the savior of their party have all the same people around him? Of course he's going to be the same. He's 2.0 of Mr. Trudeau because he has 87% of his cabinet is the same people. By the way, it's so funny. The whole Liberal caucus hasn't changed, but only one person's changed. And they say now the whole caucus has changed. The caucus is the problem because government is composed of three things: a leader, prime minister, a cabinet, and a caucus. Guess what? 2 out of 3 haven't changed. And 2 out of 3 are the majority. And 2 out of 3 will continue with their carnage against our country, but their carnage will be through Carney, carnage through Carney. That's right. That's the way it is. It's not a catchy phrase. It's a fact. And by the way, I will be in Ottawa. They will not have a day of rest when Neil Oberman is there. I can assure you. If you think my energy levels are good on it, wait until you see the energy I'm going to bring to that place. I'm going to reject everything that they do. I'm going to do it the right way, the people's way. This 2025 is the year of the people, not the politician. We will take back our power. We will make sure we hold them accountable. I will be in Parliament, whether it's in the opposition or in the government. I don't know when this is coming out, but if it's after the 28th, we'll see what happens. But I will fight for you, and I will be there, and I will not take any measures that don't reflect what the people want. That's what I will do.
I want to touch on something that you said earlier. You said you're running not because this is something you wanted to do. It's something that, you had to do, a space you had to fill in. And I think that that's a very similar thing for us on campus.
Sure.
There was no one filling the space. There was no one standing up for us, so we had to do it ourselves. How do you think we get other people to, join us and stand up and,
Great
take
question.
action and not just be passive?
Yeah. Fabulous question. Here's the problem. Some people lead by example. Some people follow by example, right? Lead by example and follow by example. You guys lead, and hopefully people will follow your example. I know that you've brought great change across the university campuses. It's not a brand. It's survival. And people are motivated for different reasons. Some people want to put their head down, go to class, try to think that everything will be fine. No, it won't be fine. No, keeping your head down won't do it. But you can't blame people. Young people are challenged today in ways I was never challenged. To address hate on a daily basis, to be told you're worthless. But it's very simple. Why do they attack the campuses, Amanda? Because they want to eliminate the leaders of the future, right? You go back in time, you eliminate the leaders so that there's no leader in the future. But here's where they've miscalculated. The heart and soul of the Jewish people has been built through adversity, right? We've struggled. We all struggle. That's why I talked about my struggle. My struggle is the same as your struggle. And you will fail. So you'll have tough times. You won't get everybody on board all the time. And you'll fight amongst each other. But at the end of the day, the adversity will end up being an asset. Listen carefully. Adversity equals an asset, because to know how to succeed, you got to know how to fail. And I have failed many times. And I might fail on April 28th. But guess what? I really didn't fail because we stood up and were heard. So you're going to motivate people. You motivate me because I'm motivated to work for you. I'm motivated to come out and do this. I worked all day today. Do I sound like I'm lacking energy? No, not at all, right? And I can keep going because we need to keep going. There is a sight and end. I see. I mean, the promised land is there, but it's always darkest before dawn. And it's not some catchy phrase. We're in a dark period, but we're going to get to the light. But the question is, who will be next to you? Who will stand with you? Who will stand beside you? I know who. We will stand next to each other. And that is how, on April 29th, 2025, we will be safer. Period.
I have a question for you. I got into a conversation in the political science group chat amongst Concordia students, and I had Montreal born and raised in my Instagram bio.
Right.
And they asked me, do you feel Canadian? And I said, yes, proudly. I mean, I was born here. Like, I loved every part of growing up here.
Yeah.
And they turned it into a joke of, we're on stolen lands.
Sure. Yeah.
My question is, we're here and Canada has given us a lot of blessings. And every day I wake up and I continue to be grateful for the opportunities coming. So for the people that they feel that, but they don't want to give into the social pressure, or they're a bit scared to go and vote, how much does that one person make a difference? What could each person do to bring themselves to being happy about where they're at and what the future brings them?
There's an expression in Judaism: save one person, save the world, right? One vote wins an election. Same concept. One vote matters. Every person matters. It's exactly the same concept. Tukan olam. Thank you. My Hebrew's not great. I think it's the same thing. You save one person, you save everybody. What I want to tell young people, go out and vote, because your voice will not be heard by not voting. Like I said before, I'm going to repeat for the fourth time. Your voice, your vote, your choice, change. Go out and make the change.
It's a simple formula.
I know it's hard to believe, but it's the formula that every video now I say the same thing. and it has meaning. And by the way, everybody's picking up on it because you see the concepts. We don't need to complicate things. It's not science, life. What science is, re-educating people to think that they can do better. That's what you guys are doing. You're re-educating in a positive way, that when you stand up and you have a voice, you're heard. So you want to be heard, go out and vote. You want to not vote, then don't fetch and don't complain.
You're doing the hard work. We just have to go out and vote for you.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, you can ask me, is this a hard thing? This is a very hard thing. And I want to say to Anthony Housefather, I'm proud of him. I really am, for things that he's done. And he's worked very hard. And it's important to tell people that they're doing good and they're doing hard. But the problem with Anthony is not him, it's his party. And as long as he's in that party, he will not help us. He's tried to do what he can do, and he should be commended for it. But you know, sometimes you're a nice guy, you're a swell guy, but you're not the right guy for the moment. And the truth is, he's not the right guy for the moment because he remained in the moment of the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party left everybody. Okay, so now, unfortunately, he's not doing the job because his party won't let him, and he's not sitting as an independent. So I have a legitimate right to bring that issue up. I don't bang him. It's not a referendum on Anthony Housefather. It's a referendum on the Liberal Party and the people in that party, 87% of that cabinet, that's going to cause problems. Mr. Carney is Trudeau 2.0. But to Mr. Housefather, I say thank you. But now you need to know when to step aside and let a new generation of people come with new ideas, new concepts, new value, new energy, new hope. That's the message. I am that person. You are going to help me, help you to bring a better Canada.
Absolutely. Neil, I find it very interesting how only the Conservative Party has spoken up about the federal government's ability to do something about what's happening on campuses. I've heard the federal government and only the Conservative government speak about withdrawing funds from universities.
Sure.
But I'm wondering, and I'm sure a lot of other people are wondering, what is the extent that the federal government can help campuses in general? What can the federal government do to students like us on campus who experience antisemitism on a daily basis, or any other student who's in danger in unsafe situations and really needs the help of the federal government, for example?
3 things. 1, be a leader. Lead by example. Did Mr. Trudeau come down to the campus at McGill? Did Mr. Trudeau come to Concordia? Did he go to Vanier? Did he go to Dawson? No. So be a leader. Leader means you have to take chances. You have to go outside of your comfort zone. Stop worrying about your votes and worry about the people. 2, money. Money speaks louder than words. Defund them. Not a penny. Under the Conservatives, they're not getting a penny. Nothing. 0. Not a single cent. They'll get nothing. 3rd, this is the most important one. Prosecute people who don't respect the law. We will appoint federal prosecutors working out of Ottawa that are well-trained, well-funded, well-initiated, very well incentivized to do their job well, but to follow the law. That's the recipe for success. Have you gotten that from anybody? Has anybody done anything? No. Who's the only person that did anything? You and me. We took lawsuits, we took injunctions, we went to court. Why does a private lawyer have to go with 2 young students or 5 young students?
And why do students need to hire a lawyer?
They shouldn't. In 2025, you shouldn't have to hire a lawyer to go to university.
She's 19 years old. She shouldn't hire a
You're
lawyer
right. But you
to
know
go
what?
to university. I shouldn't hire a lawyer.
Right.
I came here to have an opportunity to grow and to do something better with my
Bad
life.
things happen to nice people, Mikhail.
I don't need to hire a
Bad
lawyer
things
to go
happen
to
nice
university.
people. What did I tell? What did we talk about? Adversity, failing. It makes you stronger. Yeah, it sucks. A whole generation is going to have PTSD from having gone to university. Literally. Really. But I'll tell you what's not going to happen. We're not going to let the next generation, you're just setting the framework for the generation that's coming up behind you. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to help those people have a more successful life. By the way, it's not just Jewish people. There are non-Jewish people who can't go to university. Who can't.
Let's speak about it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, Neil, like you only care about anti-Semitism. You only care about the Jews."
Right.
But what would you say to that? Because I think that anti-Semitism it starts with the Jews, but it never ends with us,
Sure.
right? I don't think right now it's a Jewish problem, but I think if the Liberal Party will get elected and things will continue the same path, that the liberal government did in the last 18 months. It's not going to end with the Jews. So what would you say to the people who are saying you only care about your own community and about the Jews?
So I've heard it before, and I say the same thing. Jews are like canaries in the coal mine. Whatever happens to us happens to everybody else. Every community is connected. Whatever happens to one community will eventually happen to another community. If there were, I've worked a lot with Hindus, by the way, and I've worked with Hindus, and they tell me that they're happy that you stood up and that we stood up because it helps them as well, right? You have members of your startup nation who are not Jewish, and they recognize the benefit of a strong youth component on campus that stands up for all types of hate. Startup Nation stands up for all people, regardless of their religion, their color, their race, their language. I am but one person, but together we are a movement for change. And you know, I'll tell you, I'll repeat myself. Adversity builds fortitude, it builds experience, and it builds success. For our non-Jewish friends, I'm doing it for them as well. Because when I go to Parliament, I'm not the Jewish candidate, I'm not the Christian candidate, I'm not the Muslim candidate, I'm the Conservative Party candidate, and I'll be the member of Parliament for everybody. But our experiences are what they are, and we're motivated by our experiences. But I'm motivated to do better. I can do better. We can all do better. But I can't force people to want to come and interact with me. I've reached out across the lines, people from different parts of this riding. I've invited them. They don't call back. So I'm not going to chase people because they don't want to understand. I've learned from Hindus, Bangladeshis, Buddhists, Vietnamese, Jamaicans. I've learned and I've asked questions because I want to be a better person. You know, people often have me pegged very wrong, extremely wrong, because they see a side of me because, you know, they call me Oberman the Doberman. It's not, I mean, it's a catchy phrase, but let's look at my actions versus the slogans. I'm a measured person. I'm a well thought out person. Do I get passionate about fighting for people? Of course. Does it come out sometimes as maybe he's a little bit, you know, too aggressive? Can you ever be too safe? Can you ever be too secure? Can you ever be too prosperous? I don't think so. The passion comes from the essence of survivalism. And when you want to survive, you will be that passionate person. And young people are passionate about thriving and succeeding. So yes, I have a lot to learn, guys. And I'm going to I think I've gotten better over time. My message is getting better. It's more refined. But the essence of myself hasn't changed. I got into this for the right reasons. I'm going to stay in it for the right reasons. And I'll know when to leave for the right reasons, which some people seem to be unable to adjudicate in their minds when it's time to leave. There's times to leave.
And it's one of the most important things to know in life, not only in politics, but in everything, in relationships, in work, in everything. You need to know when it's time to say, you know what, I did enough, I did what I did, and it's time for me to give my place to someone else that can do the job better, especially when there are so many people on the line and there is an entire country on the line.
And to leave a positive legacy as well.
You know, it's a very good statement. Some people are self-absorbed with their, their reputation and how they see themselves in the context of other people. You know, I'm not a kind of person, I don't really need a lot of admiration. And I know a lot of people don't like me, but I don't really care if you like me or you dislike me. The question is, can I do good? Can we be better? Can I help people? And some people don't know when it's time to go. It's like, you know, you invite family over for dinner and they stay and they stay and you're like, listen, I think it's time to go. Most people know the cue when it's time to go. But here's the problem. Some people don't know when it's time to go. But here's what I know. On April 28th, 2025, we're going to vote them out. They're going to be gone. They're not going to be here. And guess what? We'll be better off for it. Period.
I think to follow up kind of on what Michael said, I was on campus the other week when the whole riot strike was going on, and you know, it wasn't just Jewish students that weren't allowed into their classes. It was my Chinese friends, my Italian friends, my Greek friends, like I said in an interview. So, you know, we have this experience that, you know, we say it's Jewish and Israeli students, but really it's all of the students that are being subjected to this on campus. And we are kind of, you know, fighting this fight on behalf of everybody. And I think that that's also like something that you're doing. Just because we have this particular experience, it gives us, you know, the knowledge and the strength and, you know, the desire to fight on these issues. And I think that that's something that you've really shown.
You know what I'm really concerned about? I see how they've also attacked women on campus. Use of verbiage such as rape and violence against women. It's like a double injury to strong women who come out. You know, women in society are strong and they have places everywhere in society because they fought for their rights. And now on campus, women are especially exposed through these concepts of rape and aggression and violence. And nobody really talks about it that much. I'm sitting with two strong women. I don't even know how many times you've gotten the looks and the hate from people, not because only you're Jewish, but also because you're strong women. And you have been vilified because you're strong Jewish women. And I'm going to tell you something. It's completely unacceptable. We need to amend our criminal code to make crimes inclusive of multiple facets, including when you're being anti-Semitic and also against women. It's like a double faux pas. And you know, I reject the use of rape and violence and aggression as a means of political expression. Today I was listening to somebody who goes to Concordia, and she's in a film class. I'm not going to use her name. Gave me a Zoom of the video. And the person was talking about the suffering of the people in Gaza. At no time did that person acknowledge, and this was a woman, the rape and mutilation of women for political gain. At no time did she talk about the rape of hostages and the things that have been done to women. And I said to myself, this is a double victimization of Jewish people, because you're victimized as a Jew and victimized as a woman, and this is unacceptable. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop it. It's going to end. It's going to end not because there is no answer. It's going to end because you're going to have strong leadership say, you will not be allowed to do this. We will make sure that you're safe, make sure that you're secure, and we will prosecute people. And I'll tell you, I will personally prosecute people as the Attorney General, as the Minister of Justice. I will do cases that I believe I should be doing. Because if you don't lead by example, then nobody will take example. And I will stand with every Canadian, man, woman, other, whatever you consider yourself. But we will not allow our young people and our citizens to be terrorized and traumatized by people who don't even have a right to be here. It's not freedom of expression. It's not freedom of assembly. It's hate speech. It's hate assembly, and we're going to stop it.
I want to tie a few points together. We spoke a bit about when people should know when it's time to leave. We spoke a bit about the reason why we started. When after the war broke out, we see people protesting not against the horrible acts that we saw, but instead in favor of them. So we knew why we started. You mentioned in the very beginning that you weren't initially thinking of going into politics. What was the moment that made you say it's time?
Yeah, it's very simple. When I saw the streets of Montreal on October the 8th, one day after, so well organized and so well structured and so well prepared for something that had not even happened yet, I knew that this was a bigger issue. I knew that this was a well-organized, multifaceted, multicultural, multi-governmental, multi-country attack on Canadians. And I said to myself, there's no possibility I'm going to allow my friends, my family, my community, my fellow citizens to take that type of conduct without it going back. And you know, at the beginning, you don't know this, but at the beginning, I was like a lone outlier. I don't know. At the beginning, nobody wanted to listen to me. I got a lot of pushback.
I remember that.
Right. Remember, you can't do that. We need to dialogue. Yeah. Remember, that was at
People didn't want you to take injunctions.
No, they didn't want me to take injunctions. They wanted me to sit back and let them handle it. Well, let me tell you something. No, I'm not going to let people handle. When you're threatened with your every bit of your existence, you got to stand up and you got to be heard. So I took what I thought was measured attempts. I had a lot of pushback. And you know, by the way, everybody says, Neil, he's a collection lawyer. He's not a fancy lawyer. You're right. I'm not a fancy lawyer. But here's what I am. I'm a fighter. And I'm not going to take it anymore. And we're not going to take it anymore. And that, my friend, is the message. Anybody from anywhere can do anything in a country like Canada. Even a small little lawyer like myself, I'm a collection lawyer. But guess what? I collected back our dignity, and we're going to keep it. That's the message.
So Neil, lastly, What is your message to the students and community and everybody watching this podcast?
Yeah, it's a message. It's a very clear message. Only we as Jews can protect ourselves and save ourselves. If you can't rely on your own, you can't rely on anybody else. You can't delegate your safety and security to anybody. You must take control of your present and your future and make sure that it's safe. But here's another message for you. Adversity builds strength. Suffering builds character. But if you don't learn anything from your adversity, then you don't get better. I hope that the Jewish community has learned a good lesson. What is that lesson? Those who do not support us, those who do not protect us, those who do not ensure our children are safe, those who ensure that we are set aside and segregated will not get our vote, will not get our support, and will not get anything from this community. That is the strongest message that we've inspired people to do, Anastasia. We've inspired them to recognize that what they thought used to work for them doesn't work for them. That's why you guys are great examples. You broke the mold. You reinvented what a student is supposed to be. You reinvented how you can take control of your future by simply doing one thing: standing up, starting up. And that is why the startup nation is also the stand-up nation, right? It's the same. Startup and stand-up is the same. But you're a nation amongst nations. And the greatest thing as a nation is that you have a family, you have a protector, you have a culture, a language, and you have a desire to be successful, to be safe. And together we're going to do it. Your voice, your vote, your choice will bring the change on April 28th, 2025.
We'll bring the change.
Yeah, we will. So we want to personally thank you for always supporting us, always being there for us, and always fighting for us. Even before you decided to run as a politician, as an MP, you were fighting for us as our lawyer. And now, Bezrat Hashem, you'll fight for us as the future MP of Montreal. So we would like to thank you.
I say thank you for standing up, but I also want to thank some other people here. I didn't want to mention too much because I know he's a guy. We're going to just call him Michael for the moment, And Michael has been a strong advocate, and I have to say that him and Ava and some other people have done really great work. It's not about one person. I get accolades. I go, it's not about me. It's about all of us. And a lot of people have worked hard to bring the change. But I will tell you, if I can be inspiring to somebody, a lot of young people say, Neil, I want to be a lawyer. I'm like, great, be a lawyer. But you can also be a plumber. You can also be an electrician and a woodworker, and you can work in a store. All of these have value, right? We all have value. We all have meaning. Guess what? We all matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.